Hi, it's Jess here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So this is part 2 of me making my sampler. So this is the finished sampler, and in this video I will show you how I neatened those corners and how I made this up. Okay. So I'm here with part 2 of my sampler, and in the Facebook Live I cut it a little bit wrong. This is how it should be cut. I did edit in a bit where I did it right, but obviously on this one I did it wrong. So the corners don't fit nice. So I've worked out how to sort of cover them up and make them look a bit nicer, which you can do when you've done them, even though they mitre nicely, you're not happy with how they look. So these are the corner bits that we cut off when we were making it, and this is what we're going to use to cover the corners there, so that it's now sort of nice and neat. Okay, so what you're going to do is, this is wood grain. So I want to sort of match it so that the grains go in the same direction. I'm going to check out what piece I've got left for up here. Yep, I think that'll work nice. So if you've got a directional sheet, you need to sort of kind of make sure that it's gonna fit right. Okay, so we want it so that we've got just a little square going down there, and that little square that's going down there, you're just going to cut up diagonally up the middle. So that's going to go on like so. Then on this opposite corner down here, we're going to cut that little rectangle off. She says now, getting in a little template. Yep, we're going to cut that little corner off. And then we're just going to cut up this one. Okay, so that will now, those two will tuck down there. That one goes under at the bottom, that long flap there, and then this will come down. And what you might want to do is this long flap is just cut it down a little bit so that it definitely won't poke out from under this side. Okay, you could ink round if you don't want your white edges. I didn't do it, but now sort of looking, I'm thinking I might do that. So I need to get my little sponge dauber. I'm going to use early espresso because that's the closest colour to this wood grain. So there's my early espresso. And I've got an ink pad up here. So I just showing, what was it Jill says, there's no mistakes, just opportunities to innovate, and that is what I've done here. So I just sat here thinking I need to cover those corner bits, and how can I do that? So I just had a go with the one that I made to show how it should have been done, and it was my second go. My first go was a little bit more complicated, well, a little bit more rubbish to be fair, and then it came to me in a moment of inspiration of how to do it. There, so that's those white bits covered. Might just notch that in a tad there as well. Get that corner bit inked. So we're going to put glue all around. I'm going to use, this is Collard glue, because I get a little bit more wiggle time with this. Tombows sticks really quickly, so for this I want a little bit of time. So this is always my second glue of choice, Tombow being my first, but there are things that I like to use this for. So I place it on the top so we get our right angle sorted. Fold that bit around and those bits down, and then that can fold over, and then this comes down and down there. No idea if that was in frame. I think it was. So that is it. I say it doesn't. You have a little bit more wiggle time with that, but that is now 2 nice corners. So we've just got the last one, and what you can do is this bit that you've cut off, you could stick that there if you wanted to. I'm not going to bother. I don't think you're going to notice those little triangular bits particularly. Okay, I am going to just ink up those edges. I thought about it afterwards. It doesn't matter if I get ink on the base because I'm covering that. But I did think about it afterwards, that covering up those white edges would be quite a good idea. There we go. So let's do the last one, and you can watch again. So we're making sure we've got the right, so that's the grain going in the right direction. I don't want that darker one. So yep, that'll do nicely. So that is going to be cut up to the corner to go around like that. Then we're going to take this rectangle off, and then we're just going to slit up that one, and we'll just take the end of that off to make sure when that folds round that it doesn't stick out, and I might just miter that a tad. Okay, so that's the shape where it's going to go in that corner there. So that's the shape that you're going to get, and then we're just going to ink round all these edges so they don't have any white bits showing. This is personal preference, and it does depend on what colour you do in your frame, as if you want to do that. And then I'm just going to cover with glue. This glue also, Collall, I find, adds a bit of stiffness as well, so it means that you'll have a nice strong corner as well. So that's going to get stuck on. So your score lines that were created when you were doing the shape, they're already in there, and they're the right size to go round. So that is how we're meeting up those 4 corners and make them nice and strong. And you might have, like there, just a little bit there sticking out. I didn't stick, probably because I was live and worried about the time, but that's not stuck down quite as well as I'd like it. I'd like it being a little bit further back, but it'll do. It's homemade, it's for my craft room, so I'm not bothered. So that's that. And then I cut, because of that being such a light base, I've cut a bit of early espresso, and it's roughly 7 inches by 7 inches there. So cut that to fit there. I did take a smidge of like well, not even a 1/16 off it to make sure it fitted, but that gives you a really nice base, and then that's going to be really nice and firm then. So I'm going to glue it in place. Again, I'm going to use my Collall just to give it a little bit of extra strength. Tombow will do. You might like tear and tape. Whatever. Glue is very, very personal, I think. And lots of people, you know, have their preferences for the glues they like. There we go. So that is fitting in there nicely. Okay, and then we've got our little rectangles. That's the one that I stamped in the live, which I'm going to change because I stamped it in a manner that I don't like. There. So they're 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and these are 4 1/2 by 2 1/4. So you get a little tiny little bit of a border around, which is why I wanted to put the dark behind to show out. Now I thought about, so when I stamped this, I did it in early espresso because that kind of went with the frame. But I'm thinking this is for me, and it's about my love of crafting and remembering my mum and remembering my dad. So I've thought I'd rather like to use my sort of favourite colours. And so that is Blackberry Bliss. Trying to reach my Blackberry Bliss here. I'm working on my desk as opposed to my filming desk. So there we go. So I think I'm going to use some Blackberry Bliss, and I think I'm going to use Mossy Meadow, which is my favourite green. And these were in colours when I first discovered Stampin' Up. So I still got the original Blackberry Bliss as well, but I won that, so I've replaced it. But I've still got my first Blackberry Bliss ink pad. And I'll probably use early espresso as well because I quite like that dark pop. So I wanted to sort of change the colour here. I want those leaves to be green. I want them to be Mossy Meadow. And I might do that in Blackberry Bliss. So I was going to just stamp on the back side of it. So what I thought I might do is I might make one of these little mini works of art, as I call them, with you, and then I might do the rest kind of in time lapse. So you're now what I might do is have that Blackberry Bliss and then do the bottom bit in early espresso. I think I've missed the top of that. Might get Stampin' Right marker, which has probably been the better way of doing this. And get that top bit covered. There we go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to huff and stamp that on there. Like so. Okay, and then I might try markers on this, I might do surgery, to be fair. So let's get me Mossy Meadow, Blackberry Bliss. So I want the leaves to be green. So this is the great thing about these markers, is that you can stamp with them. There we go. I'm going to do the Stampin' Up, I think. In the early espresso. Might actually use basic black for the scissors. So there we go. I could have made the blades silver, well, sort of grey, but I've done it now. So there's that. So then we'll give a bit of a huff. And I'm going to stamp that down there. And that's my centerpiece. I might do a few more little bits, but that is my centerpiece for my frame. And I thought this Craft Queen could actually be in different colours, so that I've got my favourite colours. So I might just stamp on the other side of that. And so I thought we'll have my favourite Blackberry Bliss as the Queen. And I might do early espresso craft. And then I might do a black crown. Oh no, let's do a green crown. Because I don't think the black and the espresso shows up difference too much. There we go. So give it a huff. And there we are. That's my Craft Queen. So I'm going to do a bit of stamping around it, which is why I'm kind of thinking I'm going to cut the sort of foliage up so that I've got a bit of difference there. I might put some die cuts. So what I'll do is I'll do the rest of the decoration in time lapse. So I just thought I'd show you some. So I've done some die cutting. So I pulled out some different die sets. So I've got the ornate borders there. So I've cut some early espresso borders there. I might use them in something. I pulled out the many hearts dies, and I cut that one out and sort of laid it on, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could have the flowers and the leaves a different colour? And so I was going to cut it again in Mossy Meadow and then fussy cut these flowers out, and then I saw that die and realised that they've already thought about that. So there's you know, in one pass you can cut them all out without fuzzy cutting. So quite like that as an idea there. And I thought I'd show you stamp surgery. I want to be able to stamp the scissors and separately, so it's necessary. So pair of glasses, pair of snips, and I'm just going to snip around. I'm going to snip off Stampin' Up first. There we are, that's the Stampin' Up off. So now it's a bit easier to come up here. That's the leaf. Cut the other leaf. There we go. So they're all separate, so that's now much easier to use, and they are really quite easy to put back together again. So Stampin' Up at the bottom. And then that will fit in there, and that will fit in there, and then that will stamp once again. Let me get a bit of scrap to show you that. I'll do it on this. So that will once again stamp there, no problem. But I have now the versatility to use them separately. So I know a lot of you are probably going, I can't believe you did that. But the tools, not jewels, and that is making it much easier for me to use. So I can now just take the scissors, which is one of the reasons why I bought the set, was I wanted to be able to stamp the scissors separately. And so now I've got a pair of scissors. How cool is that? Love it. And I can stamp my little leaves separately as well, and that makes them much more versatile. And then run out of little A blocks, you've got yourself a little Stampin' Up logo, which you can put on the back of your cards if you want to sell them. I didn't stamp that very well. There. So there you go. Don't be afraid to do a little bit of cutting of your stamps if that is what's going to work better for you. Okay, so I thought I'd show you that. So now I'll start putting them all together. Oh, and one last thing is, like the scissors, I want them to look like my snips. So I've got Smoky Slate and Basic Black, and I'm just going to do the blades there, Smoky Slate, the handle there, in Basic Black, and then half, and you got yourself a nice pair of scissors. Let me show you. there. I did do one practice just to make sure it worked. So loving that. So that's what I wanted. And that would have been just a bit more awkward if I hadn't chopped them up. Okay. So I'm taking the Stampin' Right markers, and so I'm doing a black handle and smoky slate on the scissor blades. So they look a bit like the paper snips, which is what I really wanted to do, which is why I cut the stamp up in the first place. So that's framed that. And then I'm taking a Winker Stella there and filling in those leaves, give it a little bit of bling there. And then those are the ornate borders, and I thought they looked nice with that. Kind of a lacy border, sort of go with that sort of sewing theme, and I thought it framed it really nice, and it sort of put it in the middle of the frame, and that sort of brings in the darkness of the sort of wood effect frame. And then those are those sort of flower heart that I did, so just got to stick those flowers on top, and they fit perfectly over that. And I just love the way Blackberry Bliss looks with Mossy Meadow. I just think they're perfect together, which is probably why they were in colours together at one point. So that is then just going to get stuck onto the square there. So with my sort of a heart for love of crafting, really. And so that's Tombow in a needlepoint tipped glue pot there. So then I'm just sort of thinking about what to do. So pulling out different dies, looking at butterfly, like that love. And so I'm just sort of playing around with what I got, thinking about what would look good. So just sort of popping down different stamps. I'm there sort of trying out different die cuts that I just got. These are spare die cuts that I have just sort of when I'm crafting. And of course I had to have a butterfly because I love the butterfly. So I'm filling that in with Winker Stella. So that's dragging the ink around, which, you know, it's a really easy way of doing it and like that. But I wanted to do a darker body, so I used a bit of early espresso there. And then I'm going to shape my butterfly a bit, and that's what's going to go inside that heart. Then I think, oh, let's emboss. So this is lovely, the little details embossing folder. So I thought, well, that'll give us a nice embossing at the top and at the bottom. And so just getting the right embossing plate there. So I think that's a really pretty effect. And it's just like putting everything into this sampler that you can do. The only thing I haven't done, I don't think, is I won't have heat embossed, which I've just thought of that now. So I'm going to cut out that heart. And once I've cut it out, I then want to cut the inside out. So I use the other die cut, and that cuts the inside out. And I want that, it's the outline heart, and I want that anyway. So it's like 2 for the price of 1 there. So just going to stick that on, and then I want to do some of those hashtags. We've got hashtag made it, hashtag handmade, and so I think they will look good on it as well. And, you know, I do a lot of Insta posts as well, so that sort of denotes that as well. So it is, you know, my crafting world. And I do find sometimes doing hashtags are a bit of a pain, but there we go. And then on this one we're going to do, I decided that I'm going to use Memento because I'm going to colour it in with my blends. So that's sort of like another technique that I'm using in this sampler. And so I'm using Mossy Meadow and Blackberry Bliss there just to colour in the leaves and the flowers. I like to use the light first and then the dark, and then just sort of fill it in, and it just sort of blends nicely together. That's why they're called blends, really. So I'm not hugely skilled at colouring, but I do try, and I'm happy with how it turns out. I was trying to think what to colour the love in. I was going to do early espresso, but I've kept with Blackberry Bliss to colour those in. I do go over the line at one point, so I needed the the colour lifter. So I'm going to cut out that sort of garland of hearts as well, so we can just have a few of those going through, and they will just go along the bottom, and I think that'll be quite pretty along there, and that'll be. And then I think it needs something at the top. So I'm sort of looking at it thinking I need something at the top to sort of finish it off. So I'm sort of looking around at what I've got to fill it in. And then I go for that sort of leafy stamp from Vine Designs to put on top. So, and I do love foliage. So, you know, that sort of goes with my style. And then I'm just stamping on another hashtag there to finish that little one off. And then we've just got the last one in the corner. So I'm cutting out this heart that's got dots, but it's a leave-in die as opposed to a cut-out die. So then you need another heart to actually cut it out. So just getting that cut out using a bit of washi tape so that it's in the right place. And then that's ready to go on. And then rather than stamp it in one colour, I'm using my Stampin' Right markers to use different colours on the stamp, so that it adds a little bit more interest, bit of a huff, and then on it goes. So that is the heart. Then I was sort of playing, thinking, shall I change it? And I decided no, going with that. And that's them done. And I was just thinking that the corner needed something, so I was sort of like trying out a few things as to what might go up in that corner. And then Brainwave comes, and I decide to put a little dragonfly, which is another of my favourite things to add to things, butterflies and dragonflies. And then I'm just going to shape it a bit and then put some pearls down its body, and that's it done. Ready. So all that's left to do now is to stick it all down. So take them out and put that down the bottom. So let's get the corners in. First, I could actually move them round, just thinking about it. Thinking I like that more. So that is it. That's my little sampler. Hope you've liked that. Hope you give it a go and see different ways of using your stamp sets and things. Okay, all the details will be down below of everything that I've used, links to my shop, links to the blog, and don't forget to check out Jill's bit of live crafting as well. Okay, bye for now.